Welcome back. Today's video is on my 6-month experience of Elvanse. It's a hotly anticipated video. A lot of you guys have been asking how I've been getting on and if I can make this video. So yeah, I finally got around to it. So before we start, I have been having a lot of people leaving questions that are slightly private for themselves or for me even. That I might not want to answer on YouTube, or they might not want their answers published on YouTube. So I've actually made an email address, and if you've got any questions that you want answered, feel free to email me there and we can have a bit more of a conversation. It's open to whatever questions you've got, or if you just want sort of an ear, I suppose. The email address, I'll pop it up on screen. It is ollieedquestions@gmail.com. Yeah, that's it. But I'll pop it up on screen now as well. So the main reasons for me starting to take Elvanse were to help with my focus and concentration and control of my attention. And overall, Elvanse has been brilliant. I couldn't recommend it highly enough. I want to go through today the good parts and a couple of sort of negatives that I've had alongside those as well, just to give the whole view of it. So I'll start off by talking about what Elvanse has helped me with over the past 6 months. So a big reason for me starting Elvanse, on top of what I mentioned earlier, was helping me to get started with tasks. That was a real difficult topic of mine. I'd procrastinate endlessly. What I've found with Elvanse that really helps is it seems to sort of give me a bit of momentum. It doesn't necessarily help me start tasks, but now I've got the discipline that I know that when I do start the task, I'll build up into it. And I think Elvanse has really helped with that focus and concentration. After maybe 5, 10, 15 minutes of being focused on a task, I can now progress with it without getting distracted by what's going on around me. And that's been really, really helpful. But it is something that I've had to develop myself as well. The second big difference I've noticed is how I now use my spare time in comparison to pre-medication. This is obviously linked with getting started with tasks, but it's much broader in the way that I see it. Having the clarity of thought now helps me to look further into my future at what I might want to achieve or accomplish. And in turn, what I've found is that I've now got a better concept of what's required of me in the present moment, and at each point where I think, no, I don't want to do this, no, I don't want to get started, I don't see that affecting my future, I can now look past those thoughts because I've got that clarity. And it really helps me to motivate myself at the time to take those little steps that are needed and get down those micro routines that I need to focus on in order to achieve what I want in the future, if that makes any sense. I want to go over now what has changed since I started medication overall. The two biggest changes have been in my life direction, what I want my future to look like, and my reasons for why I've chosen that direction as well. So in terms of my life direction, the reason that this has really helped taking Elvanse is, like I mentioned earlier, I've now got the ability to look a bit further into my future and find out what I actually want, what will bring me contentment. And as I said, it's also changed my reasoning for why I've chosen those potential career paths or future goals that I want to achieve. So as Elvanse has allowed me to develop my self-esteem, knowing that I am competent and confident enough to take on more responsibility, I've now chosen a more difficult career path that I can actually see myself as achieving in the future. Previously, I would have thought this was way past my scope, that I could have actually undertaken the responsibilities of a potential job path that I'm choosing. But Elvanse has really helped me to build up the confidence to know that I will be okay if I do this thing, and that's been massive for me. For the sake of complete transparency, there are a couple of things that I don't actually like about Elvanse. Not necessarily I don't like them, but they are necessary evils that come alongside taking this medication. The first one would be something that I mentioned in the 1 month on Elvanse video, and it's the fact that I seem to get really excessively tired if I've had a little bit less sleep, and more so than if I was unmedicated. So say for instance I usually get 9 hours of sleep on Elvanse and I have 7 hours one night, I'd be insanely tired in that day, whereas pre-medication, if I had 7 hours when I usually have 9, it wouldn't have affected me as drastically. And I did say in the other video this might be psychological, because I think that it should be having more effect than it is, but it is something that I've definitely noticed and I have to kind of watch out for almost. The second thing, which is difficult I suppose, is having to really watch my caffeine intake. I'm a bit of a coffee fiend. I love caffeine, and mixing caffeine and amphetamines is quite a bad idea. Well, it's not a bad idea, but you have to be really careful about your intake of both of them. They can both cause you to become nervous and jittery on their own, that is, and when you mix them together, that is magnified massively, and I can really tell when I've been overstimulated from a combination of the two. I mean, it's quite an easy fix. I tend to now have decaf coffees or tea, whereas before I might have had 4, 5, 6 coffees a day. So it's just being a bit mindful about what I'm taking in throughout the day, which sucks a little bit, but it's a necessary evil. So that is my update on 6 months worth of Elvanse. Overall, it's been pretty life-changing, to be honest. The benefits have way outweighed the negatives of the medication, and if anyone's thinking about potential medication that might work for them, I can't guarantee this will, obviously, but it's worked so well for me that I can strongly advocate for it. So let me know if you do have like a similar experience with it. Again, as I mentioned at the start of the video, if you've got any questions or anything and you don't feel overly comfortable leaving them as a YouTube comment, or they're quite long, feel free to email the email address here again, ollieedquestions@gmail.com. So anyway, that is it for today's video. I hope you all have a good April, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.